I, 32M, never thought I'd be sharing something like this on Reddit, but I need to get this off my chest. I've been married to Felicia, 30F, for 5 years, and until recently, we had what I thought was a perfect life. We met in college during our final year. She was studying psychology, and I was finishing my business degree. After graduation, we dated for 2 years before getting married in a small ceremony with just close family and friends. Felicia and I bought our dream house 3 years ago in a quiet suburban neighborhood. It was everything we wanted, a 2-story home with a nice yard, friendly neighbors, and a great community feel. We spent weekends working on home improvement projects together, hosted regular barbecues for neighbors, and were planning to start a family soon. Everyone in the neighborhood knew us as the young, happy couple who always helped out during community events. Everything changed when Tom, 35M, moved in next door 3 years ago. From the moment he arrived, something felt off about him. He drove an expensive car, wore designer clothes, and had this arrogant attitude that made me uncomfortable. During his housewarming party, which the whole neighborhood attended, he made several condescending remarks about my career and my house, trying to pass them off as jokes. At first, I tried to brush off his behavior and be welcoming. Felicia encouraged me to give him a chance, saying maybe he was just nervous about being in a new neighborhood. But things quickly went downhill. Tom started with small complaints, our lawn being half an inch too long, our garbage bins being visible from the street, or our cat walking through his yard. I always tried to address his concerns politely, thinking maybe he was just particular about these things. But his behavior escalated rapidly. He began playing loud music late at night, particularly on weekdays when he knew I had early morning meetings. When I would politely ask him to turn it down, he'd just laugh and turn it up louder, saying things like maybe you should buy a better house with better insulation. He would deliberately park his car in a way that partially blocked our driveway, forcing us to maneuver awkwardly every morning. When confronted, he'd just smirk and say he'd move it when he felt like it. The situation got worse when Tom started spreading rumors about me in the neighborhood. He told everyone that I had threatened him multiple times and that I was aggressive towards him when no one was around. He claimed I had made racist comments about him, which was completely false, and that I was trying to force him out of the neighborhood. Some neighbors actually started believing him and avoiding me. I could see them whispering when I walked by, and people stopped inviting us to neighborhood events. Felicia initially supported me through all of this. She would comfort me when I came home stressed about his latest antics and agreed that his behavior was unreasonable. She even confronted him once about the parking issue, but he just charmed his way out of the situation, apologizing profusely to her while giving me that same smug look behind her back. However, about 6 months ago, I noticed a change in Felicia's behavior. She started defending Tom, saying maybe we were being too sensitive and should try to understand his perspective. When I would complain about his latest harassment, she would suggest that perhaps I was overreacting. She even started attending neighborhood events without me, saying it was better to keep the peace that way. I also noticed Felicia spending more time outside when Tom was in his yard. She would suddenly decide to garden or check the mail multiple times when he was out there. I dismissed these thoughts initially, feeling guilty for even suspecting anything. After all, we had been happily married for 5 years, and Felicia had always been loyal and supportive. One day, about 2 months ago, I came home early from work due to a terrible migraine. As I pulled into our street, I saw Tom's car in our driveway. This struck me as odd, but I thought maybe he was finally there to apologize for his behavior or discuss the ongoing issues. When I entered the house, I heard noises coming from upstairs. As I walked up, I could hear Felicia's voice coming from our bedroom. My heart started racing as I approached the door. The sounds became clearer, and I felt sick to my stomach. When I opened the door, I found Felicia and Tom together in our bed, the bed we had picked out together when we first got married. When they saw me, Felicia immediately started crying and scrambling for her clothes, while Tom just lay there with that same smirk he always had when he was making my life miserable. I couldn't stay in the house. I grabbed my car keys and left immediately, driving around aimlessly for hours, trying to process what I had just witnessed. Felicia called me repeatedly, leaving message after message about how sorry she was and how it just happened. She claimed Tom had been manipulating her for months, making her believe I was the problem in our marriage. According to her, he had convinced her that I was controlling and that she deserved better. I stayed at my brother's house for a few days, ignoring Felicia's constant calls and messages. When I finally returned home, Felicia had moved most of her things out. She left a note saying she was staying with her sister and needed time to think. Through mutual friends, I later discovered that she had been seeing Tom for the past 4 months, sneaking around while I was at work. The betrayal hit me even harder when I learned that most of our neighbors knew about the affair but chose to keep quiet. They had seen Tom entering our house when I was at work but didn't say anything because they believed his lies about me being aggressive. Some even admitted they thought Felicia deserved better based on Tom's stories about me. I filed for divorce immediately. Felicia showed up at our house crying, begging me to reconsider, saying we could work things out in counseling. She claimed Tom had manipulated her and that she still loved me. But I knew there was no going back. The trust was completely shattered. What hurt the most was that she had sided with someone who had been deliberately making our lives difficult and had believed his lies over our 5 years of marriage. Yesterday, I received a text from Felicia telling me she's pregnant with Tom's child. She had the audacity to say she hopes we can still be friends and that she wants me to be part of the baby's life since we shared so many years together. She said she still cares about me and thinks I would be a good influence on her child. I couldn't believe how delusional she was being. Right now, I'm staying with my brother and his wife while I figure out my next steps. I'm planning to sell the house as I can't bear to live next to Tom anymore. Felicia keeps trying to contact me through mutual friends, saying she made a huge mistake and misses our life together, but I've blocked her everywhere. The neighbors who sided with Tom now look ashamed when they see me, but their apologies mean nothing at this point. I never imagined my life would turn out like this. 5 years of marriage destroyed because my wife chose to believe the lies of a manipulative neighbor over her own husband. I'm meeting with a divorce lawyer next week to discuss my options. I just needed to get this off my chest and maybe hear from others who have gone through similar situations. Update 1. Well, karma really does come around. Last night completely changed everything I thought I knew about this situation. I received a call from Felicia's sister Emma around 9 p.m. At first, I was hesitant to answer since most of Felicia's family had been giving me a hard time about not taking her back. But Emma had always been different. She was actually the one who told me about Felicia's previous meeting with Tom behind my back. What Emma told me left me completely speechless. Apparently, Tom had been playing a much bigger game than any of us realized. Felicia wasn't special to him at all, she was just one of many women he was manipulating. 2 other wives from our street, Jennifer from number 23 and Maria from number 15, are also expecting his children. Their husbands, like me, have all filed for divorce. The way everything came crashing down is almost unbelievable. Jennifer, who's about 2 months pregnant, decided to surprise Tom at what she thought was his workplace. He had told her he was a senior executive at a tech company downtown. When she arrived at the office building, the receptionist had never heard of him. Confused and suspicious, Jennifer started doing some deeper digging online. That's when she found his wife Lisa on Facebook. Yes, his wife. The man who seduced 3 married women in our neighborhood turns out to be married himself. He has a wife and 3 kids living in another state. Jennifer immediately reached out to Lisa and sent her all the evidence of Tom's affairs, including pictures of him with different women from our neighborhood and screenshots of messages where he promised to leave his ex-wife for them. Emma told me that Lisa showed up at our neighborhood yesterday morning with divorce papers and their 3 kids, twin girls aged 8 and a 5-year-old boy. She confronted Tom right on his front lawn while he was washing his precious car. The whole neighborhood gathered to watch as Lisa exposed every single lie he had told. Turns out, Tom isn't even employed. He's been living off money from his wife's inheritance, pretending to work from home while actually spending his days pursuing married women in our neighborhood. The expensive car, designer clothes, and lavish lifestyle were all funded by his wife's money. He had told Lisa he was working remotely for a startup in our city while actually using her money to rent the house next to mine and fund his affairs. Felicia witnessed the whole confrontation. Emma said she's completely devastated. All those times Tom told her he loved her and wanted to start a family? He was saying the exact same things to Jennifer and Maria. He had even promised each of them that they would raise their child together once they left their husbands. The man was literally planning to have 3 babies with 3 different women in the same neighborhood. The neighbors who believed his lies about me are now falling over themselves to apologize. Mrs. Peterson, who lives across the street and who I recently found out used to let Tom and Felicia use her house for their meetups, came to my brother's house in tears. She confessed that Tom had manipulated everyone by painting himself as this successful, charming man who was just trying to help unhappy wives escape their controlling husbands. Several neighbors have offered to testify about Tom's behavior during my divorce proceedings. They've provided written statements about how he deliberately spread rumors about me and systematically worked to isolate me from the community. Their testimony about his affair with Felicia and his pattern of predatory behavior will definitely help my case. Late last night, Felicia showed up at my brother's house. She was a complete mess, crying about how Tom had ruined her life. She begged me to forgive her, saying she was stupid to fall for his lies and manipulation. She kept repeating that she didn't know he was married or that she wasn't the only one. I just closed the door in her face. Whether she was the only one or not doesn't change the fact that she chose to cheat on me. Tom's wife is taking him for everything he's worth. She's filed for full custody of their kids and is going after every penny of her inheritance that he misused. She's also considering pressing charges for fraud since he forged her signature on some documents to access her trust fund. The karma they're experiencing doesn't make me happy, it actually makes me feel sick. 3 marriages destroyed, 3 babies who will be born into broken homes, and 3 kids who just found out their father is a serial cheater. The whole situation is just sad. The most ironic part? Tom's perfectly manicured lawn, the one he used to criticize everyone else about, is now overgrown because he can't afford to pay his landscaper anymore. His wife canceled all his credit cards and froze their joint accounts. The guy who used to mock my car is now taking the bus. I've instructed my lawyer to proceed with the divorce as aggressively as possible. Felicia's infidelity and the public scandal around it pretty much guarantee I'll get a favorable settlement. I'm also joining the lawsuit that Jennifer's husband is filing against Tom for alienation of affection. Apparently that's still a valid cause of action in our state. Emma keeps me updated about Felicia, not because I asked but because she thinks I should know. Felicia has her first ultrasound next week. She wanted me to go with her since Tom refused, but Emma shut that idea down quickly. I'm not sure what Felicia expected, that I would step in and help raise Tom's baby after everything they did? The whole neighborhood is still reeling from these revelations. The karma might have hit hard and fast, but the damage they caused can't be undone. I'm just focusing on finalizing my divorce and selling the house. Some of the neighbors have suggested I stay and rebuild my life here now that Tom's true nature has been exposed, but there are too many bad memories. It's time for a fresh start somewhere else. Update 2: the situation has gotten even more complicated. Felicia lost her job last week. Turns out Tom's destructive behavior had spread to her workplace too. He had been showing up at her office unannounced, causing scenes in the lobby when security wouldn't let him up. He even started harassing her female coworkers through social media, sending them messages about how Felicia had stolen him from her marriage. Her company decided she was bringing too much negative attention to the workplace and let her go. Felicia's now in a really tough spot financially. The townhouse she was renting sent her an eviction notice because she hasn't paid rent in 2 months. She showed up at my brother's house again, crying about how she's pregnant and jobless, saying this is karma enough and she's learned her lesson. She even brought up our wedding vows and how marriage is about supporting each other through hard times. I remained firm and told her that she threw those vows away when she chose to sleep with our neighbor. The whole Tom situation has gotten even messier. His wife won full custody of their kids and most of their assets in their preliminary hearing. The judge was particularly harsh after seeing evidence that Tom had used his wife's inheritance money to fund his affairs and rent the house next door to mine. He's been ordered to pay back every penny he took from her trust fund, plus child support for their 3 kids. But that's not even the worst part for him. Tom's been couch surfing between the women he deceived, staying a few nights at each place, trying to avoid paying any child support. Jennifer caught him stealing money from her purse last week. When confronted, he claimed he needed it for a job interview, but she later found out he used it to buy gifts for another woman he's been seeing in the next town over. Felicia found out that Tom's been telling each pregnant woman different stories. He told Jennifer he'd help raise her baby because it's a boy, she's having a girl, told Maria her baby would be his favorite because she's the youngest of the women, she's actually the oldest, and told Felicia her baby would be his priority because she was the first one he truly loved. We all know that's a lie. The neighborhood has completely turned against them. Someone started a Facebook group documenting all of Tom's lies and warning other communities about him. It's gained over 2,000 members, with women from 3 different states coming forward with similar stories about him. Apparently, this wasn't his first time moving to a new area and preying on married women. Felicia can't even go grocery shopping without running into someone who knows about the affair. Last week, Jennifer's teenage daughter confronted her in the store, calling her a homewrecker in front of everyone. The video of the incident ended up on local social media. Felicia called me crying about it, saying she didn't deserve this level of public shaming, but I reminded her that actions have consequences. My divorce proceedings are going extremely well. My lawyer says Felicia's infidelity, combined with the public nature of the scandal and Tom's pattern of deceptive behavior, works strongly in my favor. I'm getting the house in the settlement, which I plan to sell immediately. Several neighbors have already offered to buy it, probably feeling guilty about their role in everything, but I want a clean break. The karma keeps coming for Tom too. His car got repossessed last week, turns out he hadn't made payments in months. Now he has to walk everywhere, and people slow down to stare at him. The guy who used to mock everyone else's lifestyle can barely afford to eat. He tried to crash at my neighbor Mark's place, claiming he was getting back on his feet, but Mark's wife called the police and had him removed. Tom's wife made sure everyone in his family knows what he did. His parents, who he claimed were dead, another lie, showed up from Florida to confront him. They were disgusted by his behavior and publicly disowned him. His mother actually apologized to me personally for raising such a son. Maria's husband Steve hired a private investigator who uncovered even more of Tom's lies. Apparently, he has 2 other children in different states that he never told anyone about, not even his wife. The PI found court orders for child support that Tom's been dodging for years. Felicia keeps texting me about how stressed she is about the baby. She's worried about being a single mother and keeps hinting that she needs financial support. I forwarded all her messages to my lawyer. Her sister Emma told me Felicia's been talking about putting the baby up for adoption since Tom made it clear he won't help with anything. I'm just focusing on finalizing the divorce and moving forward with my life. This whole situation has shown me who my real friends are. Most of our mutual friends sided with me after the truth about Tom came out, but I'm still keeping my distance. It's hard to trust people who waited until after everything exploded to show their support. Update 3: Final update on this situation. The divorce was finalized last week, and I've sold the house for a good price. I'm writing this from my new apartment in a different city, about 3 hours away from all the drama. I took a job offer here that came with a significant pay raise, and the fresh start has been exactly what I needed for my mental health. Felicia gave birth last month to a baby girl. Tom wasn't even there for the delivery, he was too busy dealing with legal troubles from his various affairs and unpaid child support cases. Emma told me Felicia had a difficult time during labor and kept asking for Tom, but he wouldn't answer his phone. He finally showed up 2 days later, took some pictures with the baby for social media, and left after an hour, claiming he had a job interview. Felicia's living with her parents now, trying to figure out how to raise the baby alone. She still can't find a job because the scandal follows her everywhere. 3 companies retracted their job offers after doing basic social media searches. Her parents are supporting her financially, but they're not happy about the situation. Her dad, who used to treat me like a son, called me last week to apologize for everything and admitted that Felicia's behavior has strained their whole family. The other women Tom deceived are struggling too. Jennifer lost her business, a small bakery she ran for 10 years, because locals started boycotting it after the affair came to light. Maria's husband got full custody of their kids because the judge deemed her choice to have an affair with a known manipulator showed poor judgment. Last I heard, she had to move back to her hometown due to all the local backlash. Tom eventually left town in the middle of the night about a month ago. He disappeared without paying any of the child support he owes or dealing with any of the legal issues. His wife and the other women are still trying to track him down. The police found his abandoned car at a bus station 2 states over, but there's been no sign of him since. Some people think he started over in another town with a new identity, ready to prey on more unsuspecting families. The Facebook group warning others about Tom has grown to over 5,000 members. More women keep coming forward with similar stories about him from different states. Apparently, he's been doing this for over a decade, moving from town to town, destroying families and leaving pregnant women behind. His wife's lawyer is building a case for criminal fraud based on all the evidence. Felicia sent me a long email last week. She wrote about how she regrets everything and realizes what she threw away. She described how hard it is being a single mom, how her parents make her feel ashamed every day, and how she misses our life together. She even suggested that we could try again, saying she's grown from this experience and knows now what really matters in life. I didn't respond. Some wounds are too deep to heal, and some betrayals too severe to forgive. The house sold quickly, well above asking price. I used the money to buy a small condo in my new city and invested the rest. My new job keeps me busy, and I've started playing basketball in a local league. It's nice being somewhere where nobody knows my story or looks at me with pity. Emma still keeps me updated about Felicia and the baby, though I've asked her to stop. Apparently, Felicia named the baby Hope, saying she's hoping for a better future. She's trying to get Tom to take a paternity test for child support purposes, but nobody can find him. Her parents are pushing her to put the baby up for adoption, saying she can't raise a child in her current situation, but she's refusing. The neighbors from my old street sometimes reach out, usually to tell me about new developments in the Tom saga or to apologize again for their roles in everything. I've stopped responding to most of them. Some of them genuinely feel bad, but their guilt isn't my responsibility to handle. I'm focusing on rebuilding my life and moving forward. The whole experience taught me a lot about trust, friendship, and the importance of standing up for yourself. Sometimes the best revenge is living well and letting karma do its work. This will be my final update. It's time to close this chapter of my life completely. Thanks to everyone who supported me through this journey. Your comments and messages helped me stay strong when I wanted to give in to Felicia's pleas. I'm in a much better place now, both literally and figuratively. Life goes on, and sometimes it turns out better than you could have imagined, just not in the way you expected.